They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on your shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
Yeah, let's go.
Bang, what's up? Bluebird on your shoulder. It's another exciting, fun-filled week of glorious conquest fealities. More tariffs. So he did. He gloriously conquested the Rose Garden. And now he's gonna
Put a ballroom on it.
dude, that dwarfs the White House.
The ballroom.
The ballroom dwarfs the White House.
That's what he wants.
And no, 100% that's what he wants. That's why it's the
Yeah,
Circus
so
House.
it is a new build. I thought it was just a reno.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a
Nope.
whole new room.
No, it's a whole new addition on top of it.
Going
That's like
on the Rose Garden.
90. No, it's on the other side. Rose Garden. I don't remember. I'm not a White House specialist.
Rose Garden's on the right. He's going to put the ballroom on the left.
If you're facing the White House, but
Correct.
people who talk about the White House don't talk about it that way. They talk about the East and the West.
Well, that's because
no, because historians think these things matter and symbolists know these things matter. And no, but yeah, so you're going to put a massive ballroom next to the I just hope whoever's next tears both of them shuts down immediately. We're not the country that does these things. We don't need to do these things. We don't have to be. Well, I guess we used to be. So now we're dealing with a lot of really insecure people. So now we're going to put a lifted truck on the White House because he's got tiny fucking hands. So and he goes on and on and on, and it's just more bullshit after more bullshit. But then we also added more tariffs, right? New global tariffs again, right? So more reciprocal tariffs on 70 countries or so. 10 tariffs there. Cambodia and Taiwan. It's really interesting. But we also had the tech CEO walking with an actual bar of gold.
Yeah,
and gave it to him.
That earlier.
Yeah, and gave it to him for exemption
on live TV
on the tariffs on live TV, except because he has a fucking form from the Oval Office and treats it like it's a fucking infomercial.
Yeah,
we got little boards, and we know which we're gonna get into that too. But this dude just walks in with a gold bar and leaves with exemptions to the tariffs that will save them billions. However, I am one to fealities, not bribes, fealities. So this is bringing the king his feality so that you get what you want out of the deal. This is authoritarianism, fascism 101. So, and then we're opening another. So we got Alligator, Alcatraz in Florida, and now we're going to have, I forget what Speedway something, but then the Indianapolis Motor Speedway came out with
Slammer.
Speedway Slammer, which is actually not anywhere near the Indianapolis Motor Speedway because they're going to put it in Miami Correctional, which is nowhere near.
That's on the other side of town.
Yeah, you could call it the Pendleton Parquet or something. And then, if you were going to put it in Pendleton, that's fairly close to the Speedway. But so they're doing that. But they
just put a 14-day ban on construction of Alligator Alcatraz.
It's done.
No, they were doing more to it.
Yeah, they probably were doing more, and maybe a federal. I don't know. That one I don't know.
I was on ABC. I just saw an hour ago. I didn't.
Yeah, but I mean, J.D. Vance has a meeting with Governor Mike Braun, and
closed door meeting at that.
Yeah, well, and then the next day, we're gonna do Speedway Slammer, which then they used IndyCar logos. So Speedway on the IndyCar. We're yeah, we don't want you to do that. We don't want you to do that. But I will give them some credit. I mean, Apple did announce that they're going to spend 600 billion to move manufacturing back. However, there's a caveat to that. It's a little bit more than originally, but they were going to do that anyways because of the CHIPS Act.
Yeah.
So the CHIPS Act was forcing microchip production to come back, semiconductor to come back here so that it can be proprietary because of the rise of AI. And that was a Biden thing. So this is another example of him. Like they did add another 100 billion to it, but it was already 500 billion. So now they're going to add another 100 billion to bring manufacturing back. And you know what? That's how we spin it. And then the weird part is I don't know this for a fact, but I'm not a stupid man. Did you have to increase it 100 billion because tariffs rose the price of the construction materials for you to bring manufacturing back to America?
Well, and do you actually bring it back? Because his first term, a lot of companies said they were going to bring it back and then never did.
Yeah. His first term, a lot of companies said.
Well, there was a lot. Like the only really big one that actually did was that air conditioning plant that came up here.
It was actually, I think the hard numbers actually of all of the ones that were claimed to come back, it was like 28% actually did.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's what I said, big ones.
And to put it in bigger perspective, a big picture of, let's just call it 4 trillion was the BBB, and then these tariffs that he's supposedly bringing in. The difference in that is like a nickel drop in a bucket, but they want to make it to seem like it's a big, huge thing.
I mean, I'm with you, but we can't say the tariffs he's supposedly bringing in. No, he's bringing in tariff money. That's really happening.
Yeah, but it's only like what? $300 billion.
I'm not.
Yeah, and it's a tax.
Reciprocal tariffs.
But so the reciprocal tariffs, like, okay, so I understand people supporting the theorem of them, but you gotta not understand like reality of global trade to a certain degree. We don't need, they tariff us because we can destroy their country with our products, right? For us to bring, if they make plastic.
No, they tariff us because we benefit by utilizing their country's infrastructure to produce things. So
they tariff our imports, right? And we don't import a lot to any of these countries to begin with. So that's why there's a natural trade deficit.
That's
the trade-off. Right. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't hurt them and it doesn't hurt us for them to tariff us. So, and we don't need to tariff them because it's a bulk buy. So the reciprocals would make sense if we weren't shopping at Costco. But we're shopping at Costco. We're not shopping at, the local supermarket where prices are 20% higher. We buy in huge bulk, so that little 10% tariff, you know what I'm saying? Or 0% tariff, that matters. And their little 10% back, it doesn't matter because at the end game, the American consumer benefits. Right? Now that we have reciprocal tariffs, the American consumer doesn't. And what do we need that income for? If we needed the income, then it would make sense, but we don't need the income. That's like saying that you should stop eating avocado toast and drinking Starbucks is why you're poor. That's not why they're poor. We don't need the income to come in. We just misspend our fucking money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because they make poor money decisions.
Right. And but this is so our country. That's why we're in debt, because we make poor money decisions. And we don't need to bring in
being in a red state and voting red.
Yeah.
You're just going to stay poor.
That's true. Our tax revenues are more than enough. And if we do need more money, you add 0.25% to the billionaires and it's there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that hard. And our greatest growth period ever, billionaires were taxed at like something stupid. Like, well, they weren't even billionaires yet, but the 1% was taxed at like 70%, 75%. And we created the most industrial machine in the history of mankind out of that. So just interesting reality. So speaking of this, though, the intellectual behind the tariffs. So there's a lot of people involved in the tariffs and the production of the tariffs, right? So the TV appearances and the memes and the social media press and the reality TV section of the tariffs. But the actual intellectual behind it is the person he's going to appoint to take the Fed spot that opened. And he's already appointed him as temporary in that position. So, because he's looking for somebody to make Powell understand that tariffs are good. They're not good. They're not helpful to the middle class. And then if you look at the jobs that have been lost, it's all in areas where the tariffs are directly hitting. So that's a lot of fun. And then also extra tariffs for people importing Russian oil. So India got hit with
where
it.
that India
Yep.
tariff war started. I was wondering what was going on there, and I just now finally
right. And
that
Switzerland.
Is that why all of a sudden he's meeting with Putin in a couple days?
Yeah,
so that's
part of it.
Well, there's lots of pieces, dude. He parked nuclear subs next to Russia. That's an escalation.
Yeah, I didn't get to read the article yet, but I did see a headline came across my laptop today at work that supposedly Putin gave him a very chilling threat. So I didn't get to see what that was about, though. But then shortly after, I heard that they were meeting in 2 days.
Yeah, because it's all rhetoric, bro. But yeah, there's supposed to be a Trump-Putin summit. Because that's where it's all rhetoric. Launch the nukes at Russia, they will retaliate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that I think somebody mentioned it last week or the week before that the big beautiful bill got passed with a deal to help Ukraine out, like some backroom stuff, because he's completely shifted his rhetoric on Russia. He's shifted his rhetoric on Putin. So lots of stuff. You definitely talked about the fitness test. So, and then he prohibited race conscious college admission. I don't know how enforceable that actually is. I'm not 100% sure. Like, he can take funding. That's real. I mean, we'll get into portions of what that's doing.
But the colleges that he's doing it to, I'll say universities, because it's really the higher end ones. They don't need it. Like, who was it? I think it might have been Harvard, or maybe it was Cambridge.
Right.
Is giving I forget how many students. It was like an absurd amount of students, free tuition and room and board after he had pulled their funding. It was almost like a, haha, we don't need your money.
Well, because yeah, but
I'm pretty sure it was one of the Ivy League schools.
It's definitely not Cambridge, though, because Cambridge isn't here. Yeah, although most of the universities outside of Harvard have capitulated, and it's not good for fascism.
No, and Stanford just announced that they were laying off like 120 some people because of research funding cuts. So they're already taking a big hit as far as like full-time staff, and also like I was listening to a journalist reporting on how already we're seeing brain drain with people exiting the country to do research at colleges that will fund research, because they want to end research into things that matter so that they can sell rhetoric about the agendas that they're beholding.
Woke indoctrination.
Yeah,
well, because cancer research is woke as fuck, dude. You didn't know?
Yeah,
that's it, dude. Saving
apparently apparently so are vaccines, because RFK Jr. just pulled $500 million from that.
Yep.
So that I want to get into in a little more depth. So since you brought that particular statement up, he pulled it specifically from mRNA research, which is what they use.
Yeah.
So it's been being studied
COVID,
for a very long. It's been being studied for a very long time. People think it was a brand new thing with COVID. It wasn't. But technology had finally caught up where they could start to implement some of that research. So they had created the hows and the whys and the whats, kind of like Newton back in the day, figured a lot of things out, but couldn't really implement them all because the technology wasn't there for that yet, right? But it determined the pathway. So mRNA has been around for a really long time, and it's extremely helpful. It's extensively tested. And he specifically pointed out because that is what the COVID vaccine was made with. But in the time since the COVID vaccine, there's a little known one. I haven't looked at it in a while. Last time I looked at it was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it was going into phase 2 trials. It is an AIDS cure.
Mm-hmm.
That was mRNA based. It was coming out of England, and in its first phase, it had 100% success rate.
Yep.
So 22 people that were HIV positive got this shot that was mRNA, and they no longer have HIV. It's gone. It killed it. So it cured HIV. I think that taking funding away from this specific branch is the next medical evolution, right? To where once this is perfected, which could be in our lifetimes, that's when it is possible that, so there's a lot of fear of population decline, right? Less people are having babies. Japan lost 900,000 people last year, due to lose 1 million people this year, net negative 900,000, net negative 1 million. And there's a lot of fear of that. There's a lot of talk. Elon's big on that, right? I would be too if I had 37 kids. But I think
the worst part about that is that we actually need to reduce our population.
Well, so that's an interesting part, right? So there's that's definitely a side of that coin. But then there's my theorem is I don't think we're that far away right now with research funding to extending lifetimes.
Well, we're already doing that by quite a bit, and we're they're talking about 2 decades, and they will have unlocked the genome
for aging,
to be able to start changing the way that we age, so that cells don't stop producing, they don't break down as quickly.
The quintessential fountain of youth.
Basically, basically, right. Where you don't need as big of a population if people live longer.
Right.
Because you don't need to replace the population to continue moving forward. Now you can keep people alive for 200 years instead of 100 years. And what you're saying is with the cellular non-breakdown, they stay able for a much longer period of time. So your working years go from a 50-year time frame to a 150-year time frame. And you can be much more productive in 150 years. And then you also have, could you imagine if Newton, who died, I do believe, in his early 30s, had 150 years? This man created math to answer questions.
At 25, he had answered so many of the universe's questions that we didn't even know to ask yet.
And one of those, he had to go in a room for 2 years.
It's crazy.
And he had to go in a room for 2 years and create the math to answer the question.
Yep.
And so could you imagine 150 years of him, or 150 years of Einstein,
or 100, just the ability to work on something for that long? You're going to be able to reach, fruition a lot more often, you know?
A lot more, right? You continue to build and build and build and build,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's a wild reality. So I it's everything that happens in this administration sets us back. Every single thing. Why? Because Trump has known forever. I don't think he actually said it. Some people say he did. I've seen it both ways, but where he said if I ever ran, I'd ran Republican because their voters are stupid.
Yep.
So I
I
actually
don't.
had a video of that once. I had it pinned to my notes from YouTube, and then because I saw that and it was on late night talk show, and then all of a sudden one day I go to click on it and video unavailable.
Yeah. So like I said, don't know if that really happened. He really said that or not, but if he did, he wasn't wrong.
Right.
And I think that they're aware of that, and all of their frontal attack is on the smart. So what are we doing here? What are we? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we
Project
doing
25,
this?
dude. The best way to get things done
They never.
how you want it is to not let them understand what you're doing.
So population focus, the expansion of population is so that your people have a stronger economy because it has more workers, and that strengthens your currency. So it's all about that. Okay. So you don't want people educated because they tend to delay having kids, so they're not adding to the population pool as much. They have less kids, so they're not going to add to the overall population as much.
Yeah, because they understand
And
the financial burden that is.
right, yeah, well, that's the thing, is that the financial burden of it also doesn't, when that's lessened, then kids are more able to thrive and move into sectors where their work um, isn't as influential to billionaires making as much money from, because they can pay them depressed wages. So when you're looking at it like that, you can see where the motivations come from. It's a base instinct that you want to have as many kids as possible because that makes you a stronger people. And so that's all, from 20,000 years ago when we were cavemen and we, were competing for resources. Then as the nations grew and we were competing for resources and doing land grabs, which, I mean, at this point, the Republican Party wants us to start moving into taking land again. That was the whole test with um, Gaza was, can we get away with starting to grab land again? Can we take these resources so that we can flourish more? So, but it's not benefiting us as a country. It's only benefiting the elite class.
Oh, I don't think you're wrong about that. It's just a really interesting, like, I don't know. I hate it. All the attack is on education and science, and it's like nothing has ever been explained without science. Nothing. And I think I talked about it on the pod maybe at one point, but maybe not. I saw where they were talking about lifespan, like we're talking about, right? And we went like 45 or 60,000 years before we increased the lifespan from 30 to 35.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, last week. Yep.
And so here we are again on a cusp of increasing that lifespan again through science again, which will do nothing but benefit the species
Yeah.
in a whole. And like I need that. That's a big word for fucking MAGA, though. Species. Like, who the heck cares about them folk? They shouldn't be out here neither. So that's what they think. And it's like, it's a very fractured reality. So, but then moving to old fun political games. So old gerrymandering. That heated up quite a bit. Texas is definitely talking about gerrymandering. 5 new Republican seats to add to the House, which, being so this is nationally being looked at, what MAGA refuses to respect is, why are you so scared? Why are you so afraid? Why do you want to add 5 seats so bad before the 26 midterms? Because your party's afraid. Why would they be afraid if Trump's doing so great? But they're out there saying they're going to do the 5 seats, which will also gerrymander Jasmine Crockett out. And I don't think they like her because she talks a lot and stuff, and she also happens to not be white, and they really don't like when those two things get put together, right?
I don't think it'll work for them though, because I mean, Newsom's already talking about if they do it, we're going to do it. And it's just going to be a tit for tat. There's only so many states.
Now
they'll all do it.
6 Democratic states have come out and openly said, if you do it, we'll do it. And if we did that, we would add, like, if all the Republican states did it and all the blue states did it, the people are saying it would be net 60 seats to the Democrats.
I heard that too, yeah.
And it would put a stranglehold on the House for ever.
They might not ever get it back.
Right,
60
forever.
Seats to make up, like, normally 5 to 10 seats is, near impossible.
Yeah, if you get a 20, 30 seat majority in the House, it's considered a supermajority in the House.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, right? I don't think either side should do it. That's my official stance. I don't know enough about, like, how to build the districts. Like, I think you should build the districts like these 5 counties. I've seen districts that, like, run through the center of the state. Like, that doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. Blue or red.
I should try to find that picture. There's a picture of one of the proposed. Oh wait, Josh, didn't you share that with us?
Probably in one of the text messages.
In Texas.
Yeah, in Texas, that one, it's got like a little ball.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you on Messenger, I think.
Yeah, and then it,
right.
like, I mean, it is the longest, thinnest freaking seat that you'll ever see.
It basically wipes out half of that Democratic and puts it like a fucking needle hole.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like a big needle with a freaking bulb on the end of it, and yeah, I won't be able to find that, but yeah, the gerrymandering is a very real problem because it erodes the very little bit of democracy that we have built into the system, and it makes it so that our republic isn't a republic because they're not representing the people. So
do you feel like, I feel like the only time that it would be okay to change districts is if there is like a gigantic, like, demographic shift.
So that's why it's done around the census. So every 10 years when the census is done, then they evaluate population size, and that's when they decide whether they're adding seats, subtracting seats, and whether or not there should be a redistricting. The thing is that whoever's in power at that point are the ones that get to do the redistricting, and that's where oh shoot, I was just talking with Grok about this. So that was the reason why the Republicans focused so hard on investing in local politics and state politics about 10 years ago, was because they were waiting for this point right now so that they could redraw in ways that would guarantee that they would stay relevant for the next 20 years.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, that's a major reason of why he lost Georgia and Arizona the last election too, is because they didn't realize the demographic had changed.
Right.
Right. So yeah, it's really interesting. But Texas wants to do it, but they're currently having problems doing it because Democratic lawmakers have left the state.
Well, that's what I just shared was that.
Yeah, so there was I didn't know that Patel had said he'd throw the FBI behind it yet, but yeah, I did know that Hot Wheels definitely for a hardcore Republican, I've never seen him stand up for the national anthem. That might be rough. Maybe I should have said that. I don't really care. He's a psychopath. But he issued a civil warrant for them, so they can be fined. But the Texas state legislature actually has laws on the books about this, and he came out like, if they leave and they don't come back, we're going to arrest them and we're going to do. Like, you guys really don't give a shit about any constitution.
He can't.
Not the
So there was a federal
Constitution.
judge
Not
came out and said it's actually not enforceable to arrest them.
well, it's
And
not
they have to
enforceable
be
by
within
their
the state to arrest them.
by their own laws.
Yes.
It's not enforceable to arrest them because they literally say that this is what you can do. He's like, now I'm going to remove them. Yeah, you can't do that either.
Yep.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? So as long as they don't come back, you can't have a quorum. And if you don't have a quorum, you can't vote on anything.
Yeah, the governor of Illinois told them they're welcome there as long as they want.
Right. Well, nobody really knows where they actually are. There's been a lot of shell game with them, which I think this was really planned out, very well funded. That's what MAGA does have correct. This was well planned and well funded.
Yep.
But there's a shell game with them. They're moving around quite a bit, I'm sure, which is why now they need the FBI to try to help. Nobody knows where they actually are. And they're not going to be able to do anything, though. Anything you try to do to them is going to end up being illegal.
Right.
So, and you can't arrest them in Texas because they haven't broken a criminal law, which is why he finally did hit them with a civil warrant.
Yeah.
Because that's all you have. You have a fine that you can fine them, and that's cool. They can pay it because this is extreme. They planned all this out. They know what you can do, and they got the money to pay the fine. So when they do come back, they're going to pay the fine and move on.
You're talking about laws, and you're talking about
fascism,
non-criminal civil matters, kind of like when people have a misdemeanor for crossing the border illegally.
Jaywalkers.
You seem to be bagging and tagging them. So
no, 100%. That could definitely happen.
You guys are talking about playing the game the way that it's written, but they're not playing that way.
Well, they're playing by their own rules and making up the rules as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Creedence Black Bag for sure.
They were the children that constantly cheated in board games because they would flip the board if they lost.
Yep. Exactly right.
Bro, I just never played Chutes and Ladders again. So that's for sure. But the other portion of this that you brought up, that typically gerrymandering or redistricting is done behind a census. So there is no census because censuses are every decade. So 20, 30, 40, 50. And he had now ordered the Department of whatever to do a mid-decade census and not count undocumented immigrants. And they're all happy about this. They're like, "Rrr." And I'm like, that Constitution thing has rules about this in it.
Yeah.
And you can't fucking do this. So like I've come down to about 93.7% of the things he says you're never gonna see happen because he can't legally do it. And there will be a judge that's gonna be like, no. Because Constitution, no. Yeah. And I don't think this one, you even have the ability for SCOTUS to go, yeah, give it to the states. It's in the Constitution that this is a federal thing and that they are to do it for the states. And here is the guidelines to it. Right. So I don't think SCOTUS can get them out of this one through procedure either.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that this is never going to fucking actually happen because that's the law, right? Like they haven't got blatant enough to like go there yet. But I'm really waiting for him to try to take the guns because I think it's coming.
I mean, they're playing with all kinds of stuff to see how far they can get. You know, they talked today about they're reattacking DC because some kid from Doge got almost got carjacked.
And no. This lady was getting carjacked. A woman was getting carjacked or harassed. One of the two, I can't remember. Yeah. And the Doge kid jumped in to try to help and got smashed. Okay. So that's what actually ended up happening there. And now they are. And now I'm seeing a bunch of stats on the fucking old Twitty Diddy. Dude, that's like, oh, this is the most violent capital in the world, and and so on and so forth. And I'm like, that's really weird.
So he's talking about trying to federalize it so that he can take it over. And when you take over the capital,
Hunger
then
Games.
yeah.
Hunger
So
Games.
like this is his first real put. Well, it's not his first push. Remember when he went into California with active duty troops because
Yeah.
because there was civil unrest and he needed.
He wants martial law so bad.
He does. Everybody freeze? Or just him? Nope,
Nope,
you
just
froze
him.
too. Oh, just him. Dude, he's frozen
They can
in
do that and they can
Oh,
establish
hey!
long-term control. Then they have an avenue for taking over the country.
Also has no idea he was frozen the whole time. So that's super exciting.
I was
you
frozen the whole
marked one.
time.
You froze
Yeah.
before the end of your first
You
sentence
look like
and
this.
came back. Yeah, and came back right at the last sentence. It was like epic timing. So it really worked out. But yeah, you were like,
That was really good.
It was a great pose too. So it all worked out. It all worked out. I don't think you're wrong though, like hitting that. Like this is them litmus test, right? Litmus test, litmus test, litmus test. I didn't release the files. Will they accept me as a pedophile? Oh, it happens to be yes, 43% of them will. But 57% wouldn't. And like I said, X has changed a lot. It's very, very different. Like a lot of their hardcore supporters have gone silent, not necessarily disappeared. Oh yes, that's also reamp too. That was on my list of agendas today too. That he is tossing more people who would not tell him who was involved in the J6 investigation. So more leaders of the FBI. So he's done a lot with the military. Now he's working on the federal bureau. I've seen Cash become more Trumpy than he has been the whole time, but I've seen Bongino. I've seen him actually become more silent because I think that man's actually like maybe a little, but he's legal for real. He's got that justice in his head, and it's just really odd. So then there was this other thing that happened, and it goes to show the method of the resolve of MAGA. So like there was a big FBI bust. Sex trafficking and minor trafficking and children trafficking. It was like 48 people were arrested for it. 6 of them were illegal immigrants. That's about all I heard about on Twitter was the 6 illegal immigrants. And like, okay, cool. So like, but why does it have to be about that? Like you've got 48 sex traffickers or people who were buying and selling children. You got 48 of them. That's good. That's really good.
Right.
So 48 of them, you know what I'm saying? Caught. So 6 were illegal, and we're really happy about those 6. So the other 42 is just kind of cool they were doing it, or like it doesn't matter.
They were probably middle-aged men. A lot of them
They
were probably
weren't all
white.
A lot of them were white, not all of them. I got caught on. They got me because I was like, "What were the 42 white?" And then of course they showed me that they weren't. But there was a vast majority who were. But it also led me into a conversation with one that actually had Grok IQ test me based on a comment I made. Like he doesn't understand per capita. So, well, then Grok's like, well, it would be this because of that. I mean, and then I was like, okay, Grok, but let's go into what he's really talking about here. So, because he brought up like per capita non-white people, we'll leave it at that. He used a lot of other words, but non-white people are more prone to commit violent crime like rape, molestation. I don't know if we can say that, but we'll see.
Violent crime, domestic violence,
but sexual violent crimes, right, against women and children.
Yeah.
So that they're more prone per capita to do so, which is factual. And I gave him that right off the top. This is factual. I said, however, what you don't understand is that doesn't matter to likelihood or probability. And he's like, no,
it's actually skewed because of the amount of victim blaming that happens with white communities and the amount of white people that get away with it or that the police minimize and don't pursue.
Speaking of which,
so the prevalence is the same. convictions are heavier in poor and colored areas because of the propensity for laws and law enforcement to focus and um, exploit those situations.
You're not
So
trying
they
to
get
explain to these people shit they ain't gonna understand. Go ahead.
So that's a really good segue into a conversation I had today while I was on my lunch break with some older women that I work with. They're in their mid-50s, pushing 60. There was an article about I believe it was the governor of Utah. His brother is currently being charged with rape of a 13-year-old. His younger brother is currently 19. And he has written in an executive order because the head of the state can write executive orders for the state, just like the president can the country.
Right.
He has wrote an executive order changing that law so his brother no longer will face that charge. And these women that I work with were saying, well, yeah, but was it the 13-year-old that jumped on his lap and was like, come on, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
yep.
Well, then as the adult, you need to say no.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting concept. I mean, I brought that up before, like when we started with him, possibly them coming to terms that he's in the files, that it's okay because, like, in Jesus' time, that's what happened. Like, they literally went there. So that's really great. But what I was gonna sum up, I mean, that's so true. It is all about the angle, right? And it's about the perception. But what I put to the guy is like, look, what you don't understand is, yes, you're right. Pure raw stats, you're right, but it doesn't predict likelihood. And you think it predicts likelihood, and it doesn't. I said, so if a white woman today, right now, this minute, is sexually assaulted, what is the likelihood out of 10? So I tried to get ChatGTP to do this with me, and it wouldn't. It gave me a whole bunch of political reasons why it could not give me that answer.
Well,
And it admitted that the math is there, right? Because I'm using his math. He put the math. I'm just turning your math into a different math. But you know what? Grok doesn't have morals or ethics. So it answered it for me. And it was like, yeah, so if right now at this moment, a white woman was sexually assaulted, there's an 8 out of 10 chance it was a white man.
I was going to guess 8 out of 10.
So 8 out of 10 are going to be a white man. Yep. 1 out of 10 is going to be a white Hispanic.
Yep.
So the other one will be somebody not white. So it's a wild reality that they don't understand. Like, you use per capita in certain situations for certain things, and it's the most effective statistic. But there's other where if I'm a woman and I want to know who to protect myself around, I need to know that there's a 9 out of 10 chance if a guy rapes me, I'm going to be a white guy, right? That I don't have to hide from that. So
right here, race of perpetrators, 57% are white.
Yeah. Rain. Okay, that's interesting. All the statistics I had the AI work on were directly out of the FBI database. Agenda.
Rain is considered very accurate with what they have.
No, I don't think they have inaccurate numbers. So I'm just saying, like, I made it do this off of, the report they released. It was table 43. Like, it's very commonly used on Twitter when discussing crime statistics. So I brought them all of their information, all of this, and I'm like, here you go. Like, it's an 8 out of 10 chance. And you're a psychopath about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always want it to be a brown reason or a black reason or a Muslim reason or a gender reason. Country. It's since day one of this country. So real, so real. So something else I definitely want to bring up that's a little more quiet, right? Is the VA announced it would terminate collective bargaining agreements.
I did see that.
because of the SCOTUS decision that the president could end collective bargaining for federal employees. Now each area can end the right for employees to come together and collectively bargain.
Right. So it's saying that 80% of VA staff will lose their bargaining rights. And definitely strong potential impacts to services, right? So like those collective bargaining agreements are really important to keep your workforce.
Yep.
Because this is like, I know my old lady's looking to go in the medical field, right? It's a high need field right now. So you have all these people with the VA administration, and you're going to lose them to private healthcare. You know what I'm saying? Except for the most hardcore, because they can go make more money over there where they are protected by a union, because it's not a federal thing and it's just not being talked about. Like there's so much going on that isn't talked about that has such a greater impact on groups that are highly majority his supporters.
Mm-hmm.
Like the biggest impacts in a negative way of everything that he's done in this administration are hitting the groups that are majorly swayed heavily towards him.
Yep.
It's not hitting people that would typically vote left. It's hitting people that would typically vote right. You're hitting military people. You're hitting service members. You're hitting veterans. You're hitting blue collar workers. You're hitting low skill labor. You're hitting poor people. You're hitting it's like over and over and over again. You're smashing. And they don't realize it's happening to them. So I saw put one up today that somebody's got to explain to me how come you lied to me that the level was right, because I ordered this from South Africa and I had to give UPS $300 to get it. Because UPS said, we're not giving it to you until you give us the tariff money we had to pay to pick up your package. Yeah. And they're like, no, South Africa should have done that. And UPS was like, yeah, that's not how that works.
Right.
And this person's like, why would you guys lie to me about how it worked? Like the liberals were right. And, I put a comment in there, like, has that woke you up to anything other than this? Like, is this the one thing we were right about? Or are you starting to realize that we were right about quite a lot about how this shit actually works? Because you know what? I actually don't often do it. It's not my local news site anymore. It's y'all's local news site, but obviously it still pops up in one of my social medias. Somebody stated that illegal immigration is hurting legal immigration. And all I said is, do you got some statistics to back that up? Can you source that?
Of course not.
Right. No. And then some other rando came in like, well, why would that matter? And I'm like, why would facts matter? I don't know. I think so, da 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 da. And he was like, well, it's just a moronic question. And I'm like, it's a moronic question to want what? And then I'm like, you know what? And he phrased something else, and I'm like, no. Oh, he said that it's not quantifiable. And I'm like, no. See, there's the thing. Facts are quantifiable. Opinions are not. He gave an opinion, and that's what I'm pointing out. That he gave a feeling, an opinion, a thought, a concept, an idea, and it's not quantifiable. And on this podcast, I regularly say, this is how I feel. I can't really back it up because there's no statistic to quantify it because it's a feeling. It's an intuition. It's you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, but facts do have quantifiable measures every single time. And that's what I wanted. Okay, if this is true, show me the facts, because I don't think this is true, but I don't know it's not true. Like, maybe this is the 1 out of 74 MAGA that actually get it right sometimes.
They would believe it anyway.
Here's a fact. Border Patrol agents are using rental trucks as a Trojan horse to raid people trying to go to work.
No, 100% there. 100% there. That's definitely happening. One of the really interesting parts about that is they used a Penske truck, one of the yellow ones, and Penske came out like, you're not supposed to put human beings in our cargo. Like that's one of our things. And now MAGA's mad at them for saying that. They're like, we don't want that to happen, because like they don't. Like, we want a whole bunch of people riding around in the back of your truck, right? That's not what they're supposed to be used for. So it's a very
it's actually
interesting.
illegal. It's illegal to move a truck with somebody unsecured in the back like that.
Right. So yeah, no, it's
Here's
really.
here's something that's super sad. You know how people were talking about, how Superman was woke, and that
The movie.
yeah, the movie was very woke, and that and people pointed out, well, Superman wasn't an illegal alien, and he challenged us to find humanity in the way that we, approach everything.
Like literally, that's what he was about.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, somebody lost my fandom. Superman is now an ICE officer.
Oh yeah, the original Dean Cain. Dean Cain's been supporting Trump for a long time. He's an original supporter. He's an original magist. There's like a handful of them that are like that, which make me wonder, like, are they the smart ones that I don't understand, or you just were good acting, you're stupid as shit?
Oh,
Because I've met a lot of idiot savants in my life where these are not bright people, but they know how to do what they do extremely well.
yeah, most of the famous people that are attaching themselves to Trump are doing so just for the headlines, and I'm sure
Yeah, I
that
don't necessarily think he was because he's been doing it the whole time. He hasn't gotten anything out of it. Now he's an honorary ICE agent because they removed the age cap. So ICE to work for ICE originally you had to be under 40, and they removed that cap. And they actually had an ad on Twitter today that was like, "You can make it a father and son duo." And they had this
oh my
old guy with
God.
them. Dude, it is a wild reality, right? And then somebody in the comments was like, "You should let the good old boys join," and they answered like, "Yeah." It was the Homeland Security's Twitter page. Like it's all reality TV. It's reality
Well,
TV. It's social
and
media
that's
reality.
what my point about that was, is that they specifically sought him out and did this with ICE to counter the whole Superman, like, you know, told us to be humane about things, and asked us to be kind to those that, need our help. They specifically sought out Superman in order to make him an ICE agent to neutralize that whole rhetoric. So this is all about them continuing to fight against anybody telling people to think about what Jesus actually told you to do. Think about what Superman, your heroes, are telling you what to do, what they stand for.
Yeah,
You
so Jesus is woke now then, but they want to be like, well, with the abortion stuff in the Bible, and they're always like, in the Bible, in the Bible, in the Bible. But Jesus is woke then too, if Superman's woke, because they were basically preaching the same thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, they're never going to admit that, bro. They're never going to admit that Jesus was woke, bro. They're never going to admit that Jesus wasn't white either. So,
Right.
one of the other things that's really interesting, so there's a lot of like they're pushing a lot of examples of like see America's great again. So like Sydney Sweeney, she's a pretty well known actress, very, very attractive person. But she did an American Eagle denim ad for jeans, and I haven't personally seen anybody on the left like go nuts over that, but then I've seen the right say the left went nuts over that, and that her being in it because she's blonde haired and blue eyed, like that's bringing America back. And I've seen a couple of other versions of that, and then Levi actually released a similar ad that Beyonce's in their jeans, and people don't really understand how this marketing world works. That both of these companies knew the other ad was coming out, and so why they did the ad the way they did. um, and I don't think that necessarily American adults are fat. Yeah, we know that. I'm one of
Yeah,
them. I'm one.
but you're talking about how they're pushing the whole you know, America's great again type of thing.
Yeah,
I found this to be funny,
right.
So
So they're doing a lot of that, and it's really, really interesting. So there's this TikTok trend that's like really, really popular right now. So it's about rushing sororities. So it's all the sororities. It's rush week for sororities this week. So there's a lot of TikToks. And Alabama and Georgia are heavily featured in those like trendy TikToks. They've got millions of views. So now they're sharing those on Twitter and saying, "See, America's back again." Yeah, this happens every year. And sorority girls do these dances and take these, like, this is normal. This is absolutely 100% normal. And you're like, "See, America's coming back again." Well, you just didn't know it, because you don't know what the fucking education is. And you never went to a college, and you're like, "Look, they're all this." And I'm like, yeah, the real funny part is, out of those like 82 white women dancing, 67 of them are going to become liberals, and you're not going to be able to stand them in 5 fucking years.
Right.
So, like it's like anything of white people enjoying themselves is now America's back. America's back. America's great again. America's back. And it ultimately comes down to, it will continue to be, this is all about white. So that's a really good point right there. That he also fired the jobs lady, which is a really, really, really hard position, because it's all based on a survey. And a lot of places don't answer the survey on time the way they're supposed to. So she doesn't have valid information to give you.
Yeah.
And I've been watching the market for years and years and years, and it's constantly been revised. This is completely normal. And now that the revisions are all in, he's losing jobs left and right.
Yeah,
And there
so
is no job growth.
somebody pointed out something like, "Oh, well, Biden did it. They did it too." And I was looking at the numbers. So this was like 200, they had to revise down like 258,000 jobs, I think, where Biden's administration had to revise 800,000 over a year. So,
I mean, if you're doing 250 some thousand a quarter,
a month. No, that was a month. That was for a month. So it was, you're talking about,
tons of jobs have been lost. That's what I said. All of his direct impact of all of his policies so far have hurt the people most likely to vote for him.
Yeah,
and they don't realize it, because somehow it's Biden's fault, or it's Obama's fault, or it's Clinton's fault. Yeah. Well, they call him, I guess, because Clinton, they typically, actually, when they say Clinton, they usually mean Bill. But yeah, Hillary's fault. It's never, ever like what is happening in real time right now in front of your eyes. And it's like, have you ever been punched in the nuts? That really just happened. Like, it wasn't because somebody else did something.
Yeah.
The in-group bias is so extreme that it doesn't make sense. Like, and what is the other bias called? Like, you see somebody trip on a sidewalk and they're stupid because they tripped on a sidewalk, and how can you be so clumsy, and how can you be da da da? But when you trip on the same point of the sidewalk, it's because the sidewalk is stupid, because it was built wrong, right? What is that?
Well, that just sounds like a narcissistic behavior.
It's actually a social psychology bias. Like, I think it's the attribution bias. It's been a long time, but that was
it's close to that, yeah.
Something along those lines. Like, so, but basically that's a very natural function of human reality, because it's always, when it's them, it's this, but when it's me, it's this. Somehow he has figured out, or the machine has figured out, that when it's me, it's them. Like, he's violated that natural tendency for the human brain to look out. Like, he's made these people lose their survival instincts.
That's that bully mentality. Anything that's negative is not my fault.
Yeah,
so it's part of keeping your brain
this big.
Well, no, actually it's to kind of shore up your psyche so that you can continue to move forward, because otherwise, if you attributed negativity to yourself the same way that you attribute it to the external world, then you would lose that sense of ego that allows you to feel confidence and self-esteem. So there is an actual function that is positive that surrounds it, even though it can lead to a lack of empathy.
For sure. It's just, I don't know. Like it's all pomp and circumstance, and it's gaudy, and
Gotti was
it's
a mob person.
yeah, I got there. So because that's what I thought when I said it too. I was like, not John. And it's just more symbolism, show. It's all a show. It's a show. It's a circus. I've been calling it a circus since the first time.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's the Dancing Bear. It's the circus.
Smoke and mirrors.
Entertainment. To the point where like some of the really smart ones bailed out because of Epstein or Iran bombing or this or that or this or that.
Self-serving bias.
Self-serving, but is that the self-serving bias? Okay, you're right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, self-serving bias. Cognitive bias for yep. So 100%. I knew it was something, dude. I answered the question right on the test all those years ago. I got this.
I went to that class that week.
So I went to most classes most weeks. So I even brought people to classes and portrayed them in speeches. It was really fun. Did this a few times. So life was a different place back then, though, bro. Like you couldn't have told me this was going to happen, and I would have believed it. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed that there would. And the part that shocks me the most is what would have made me say it will never happen is because the people who fully support him, I thought never would. Like those were the people who would hold on to the Constitution of this country through and through.
Because you would have laughed at him and shook your head and been like, democracy will never allow it. Like we have things in place in our system for that very reason.
And here we are. And we have people who support us and are the rah-rah Americans. Yeah. And somehow, some way, he's convinced them that he is the epitome of the American. And the consumerism of the capitalistic society is ultimately what caused this. Because he's got a gold toilet and a gold staircase. And that's what turned him on. But it's been an exciting week. They are slowing down. That is finally happening. They're getting a little. I don't necessarily know they're slowing down. They're getting quieter about things. Things are getting a little harder to find.
They're trying.
I was very, very shocked.
Like what we talked about with DC. You know, they're trying to reform their plans to get around the obstacles that they have run into, like the court. You know.
I was
very shocked to see this week. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday morning. MGT calling out her party, basically saying like enough's enough.
It
kind of reminded me of Pence though. Like you want to peel back, but like too little, too late. You were attached to that shit too.
So I'm seeing that in a few Republican Congress people, not so much senators, but I've seen a few Republican Congress people, and I'm very engaged in politics to know that the very first set of internals just came out. The first set of internals came out for next year. So all these people are pivoting because the internals came out and they're like, oh shit, we really are in trouble. Oh, yeah. Like, once again, the liberals are actually right. This is actually happening. And I was talking to somebody about that the other day, and they said something and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you haven't paid attention to a single fucking election that's happened since November. You haven't watched that. There's been giant whiplash from that. So, but yeah, slowing down. But we have the White House is going to be one of the ugliest fucking capitals on the fucking planet now. Like, it's so iconic, right? Like, it's such an iconic building. Like it burned down.
I'm kind of surprised that they're even changing the footprint of it. Like that's pretty.
I'm not surprised that because he knows he's going to go down as the worst president in history. But they're always going to have to remember him because he built the fucking ballroom.
He's gonna put his name on it.
Right. It'll be the Trump ballroom. So, and then I hope the very first person after him knocks that bitch down. I don't care how much it costs. You can raise my taxes 2% to pay for that. I'm here for it. Because it's ugly.
I'm sure we could find a group of immigrants that would knock it down for free.
Probably. Very true. So yeah, that's going to be the whole though. Like another exciting week of Trump insanity and MAGA insanity, and the core of MAGA has gotten stupider because some of the smart people have walked away because they figured shit out. And I think that's going to keep happening. Like, I think it's going to now you're going to have veterans who are like, wait, hold on. Like, now you attacked us directly again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you attacked us directly again. So, like, maybe they are right. And, like, hopefully more and more
Well,
people wake up.
so the problem with that is that you're thinking about like the direct repercussions where these people are losing their jobs, but the problem is that they've been they've been fed this story where everything is ineffectual because of too many people that are taking advantage of, collective bargaining so that they can be lazy at their job. So getting rid of these people isn't going to hurt the the system that they are benefiting from. It won't be until they see a drastic change in the way that system is serving them before they're actually willing to take a look at it and acknowledge that it's because of,
I don't think
this.
it'll take super long time.
It will take a while.
Yeah, okay,
Birds are
fair enough.
stubborn
You're way
animals.
more experted on that than I am.
Yeah.
So,
Well, all right.
um,
So let me give you an example. Right now, we're already seeing changes. I know I talked to you guys about the fact that the the VA.gov website is constantly down right now. There's all kinds of systems that aren't working, and there are areas where people have already been laid off, and so there's struggle to get a hold of people. But again, that's not too far from the norm. But today, I had a 3 p.m. phone appointment for my doctor to call me to go over my MRI results for my lower back. And she never called. I messaged them at 3:30 after they didn't call for half an hour. They didn't answer. I called at 4 o'clock and they said, "Oh, we tried to call, but it didn't ring." Where but at 3:30 I had gotten a phone call from the VA to schedule a different appointment. So, like, these are the types of things that we're going to start seeing more and more of, but because we've had enough of it over, a decade or so for a lot of these war veterans, it's not going to feel like a big change right away. It's going to take a while for us to really feel like this is a lot different. Because in the veterans' mind, most of these systems are already shit. They're already bloated. They have a lot of red tape. They're hard to navigate to receive the benefits that they've earned, and so they've already got a negative opinion about it. To change that to a more negative opinion because of what somebody did that said that they were going to help you is going to take a while. So,
Yeah, so
excellent.
much so it's been clunky there for so long that my stepdad, who's a Vietnam vet, refuses to go.
right.
He just goes to his normal doctor from his insurance from his job. He refuses to go to the VA because it's known that if you don't get there as soon as they open, you're going to be there all day long.
And that depends on locations and whatnot. I can
Well, the
tell
one
you
here in
that
town.
I can tell you that, when I first started going, the care was pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
And I requested to be seen outside of the VA until there was a tipping point where the VA care got funding. Obama gave them a whole bunch of funding, and so their care really started to improve. And as the insurance system was crashing the civilian side, their care started to get worse and worse. So finally, it got to the point where it tipped, and I went back to the VA to get care for, well, almost 10 years now. But now
Fake
it's
news.
starting to tip back the other way.
Fake
So
news. Obama would never help veterans. He's a Muslim from Kenya. So, but no, yeah. So that's gonna be it for this week, though. Really exciting. Learned a thing or two. Taking shots at his people, man, but gotta figure it out sooner or later, right? I've seen groups of them come off, so we'll see what he does for this week. I am really looking forward to the Trump Putin showdown. I want to see what that's like. Putin's got IQ like 87 points higher than Trump's. So
there's gonna be a lot of rhetoric, but at the end of the day, they're gonna say that things went well, and then they'll start talking shit about each other the week after. So
correct. So, but until next week, we'll see you all later. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell 3 friends. So, maybe we'll have a referral contest one day. It'll be cute. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves until next week. Bluebird on your shoulder.
Thanks a lot.